And welcome back, everyone. We're going to be talking today about signaling and attitude signals. And for those of you watching this video on YouTube afterwards, some people have asked me if they don't play in the games, can they make a financial contribution? And you can if you like. It's by no means obligatory, but if you go to a video you like, you can click on these little dots, these three dots here, and you can donate $2, I think, if you wish to. So I'm not saying you have to do that, but some people are asking how to do that. So
just
to let you know how to do that. So let's turn now to the topic of today's lesson, and let's have a look at a simple example here where South's opened 1 no trump, North raised to 3 no trump. That 1 no trump is the weak no trump, showing 12 to 14. And your partner leads the 5 of spades. And down comes dummy. And if declarer plays the 7 or the 2 from dummy, I hope you can see that third hand here should play the king. Third hand generally plays high. You will win the trick, of course. And generally speaking, it's right to return your partner's suit unless you can see something much better to do. But here you don't have anything better to do, so you would return your suit. Then with 2 cards, you should return the higher of those 2, the 8 in this case. And you're basically hoping to force out the ace of spades, and then maybe your partner will get back in, or you'll get back in and be able to continue with spades. However, let's have a look at the same hand here. This time, though, when your partner leads the 5, this is exactly the same hand, but this time declarer plays the ace. And I've got the first poll for you here, which is which spade should you play as east? The king, the 8, or the 3? Else with you? And as I said, one of these days, I'm going to get a unanimous correct response. It's almost unanimous here, but you've nearly all gone for the 8 of spades. And of course, that's right. You have a chance here to play the 8 or the 3. And of course, you play the 8 here to indicate to your partner that you have something in that suit. So you encourage here with the 8. And let's just bring up the 4 hands at this point. Your partner should note that you've played the 8 and that looks like a high card. And so if later on they get in with their ace of diamonds, they should realize you encouraged before, so they can play a spade to your king and you can play a spade back. And that way the defense can take 4 tricks there. Declarer is going to make the rest there on this hand, but at least you'll make the spades that you're entitled to. How about this one? This time you're in a heart contract and it's got 1 heart, 4 hearts, and your partner leads the ace of clubs. And when they lead the ace against a suit contract, they should normally have the ace and the king. You've actually got the queen here. So again, you should encourage them to carry on in that suit. You play the 6, and if they interpret that as a high card, they'll carry on with the king and play the suit again. And played that way, you can make the first 3 club tricks. And on this layout, having taken 3 tricks here, you now want to try to give yourself the best chance to make a trick with the king of spades. So you don't lead a spade, you lead something else. Let's just bring up the 4 hands. If we lead a diamond, for example, declarer can win that, but now declarer is going to lose 1 more trick in spades. Whenever they play the suit, you'll be able to take your king. So again, you signaled encouragement to get your partner to continue that suit. How about this one? This time, again, your partner leads the ace of clubs against a 4 heart contract. Down comes dummy. And the second poll of the evening is, which club are you going to play here? the jack, the 10, or the 5? Have a look at the responses. And this time the majority, 67%, have gone for the 5 of clubs, but the rest of you decided to play a high club. And sorry, let's go back to, sorry, it's this one here. Yeah. And it is actually a mistake here to play the jack or the 10. When your partner leads the ace against a suit contract, you should assume they have the ace and the king. Maybe they have the queen or maybe not, but you should signal on that basis. So the only time that you should signal encouragement, which would be the jack or the 10, would be if that was a doubleton, or if you had the queen as well. But with 3 cards, including without the queen here, it is a mistake to play the jack or the 10. You should signal low, okay? And if your partner interprets that correctly as your low club to signal that you do not have help for them in clubs, they should switch to another suit. If we bring up the 4 hands, your partner, as you can see, should interpret that 5 of clubs as a low club and should not continue with another club. If he makes the mistake of playing the king of clubs and then another club, it allows declarer to make a trick with the queen of clubs. So West should get the message that you've discouraged and should switch to another suit. Now, it's not obvious what to switch to. It turns out that a spade is a good switch because you have the king. And when you get in with the king, you should seriously think about switching back to clubs. Anytime your partner here has led the ace and then stops, it must be for some reason like this. And while it was a very bad idea for West to continue with clubs, it's a very good idea for you to switch back to clubs, because as in this case, you will trap the queen of clubs if declarer has that. So your jack will win, you can play another club, and played that way, East-West will make the first 4 tricks and defeat the contract. Any comments or questions on that? So I hope you can see on this layout.
Tony, can I just ask a quick question? Sorry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Back on the original board, I know we're talking about having king 3 times. What would one do if you had king doubleton?
Okay. So it would depend perhaps on the other cards. And it could be right. It can be right in some situations to unblock the king if it's a doubleton, because otherwise you may well end up blocking the suit if you if you don't play. So we're talking about a situation where East has just got 2 cards, the king and another one, and if your partner leads this suit and declarer plays the ace, it's often right for you to unblock. Okay, it may depend, partly on what you see in dummy, but that could be the right thing to do.
Thank you.
Okay, let's have a look at this one, and this time we're going to look at it from the point of view of West. And you are West, and you lead the ace of clubs against a 4-heart contract, and your partner plays the 8 and declarer plays the 6. Now, very often you need to do a little detective work when your partner plays a card. And the question for you here is the 8 of clubs high to encourage, or is it low to discourage? What does that play of the 8 of clubs mean? Have a little think. I'll leave you to think about it before I launch a poll. And can you work out whether your partner is encouraging or discouraging? Let's have a look at the results so far. And we have a fairly divided response, with 54% saying low, 38% saying high, and 2 people saying they can't tell. Well, the 8 looks high, doesn't it? But when you lead a suit and your partner plays a card, this is a very good time to try to work out whether that 8 is high or not. And this time it is not high, because you can account for the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 8. So the 8 is your partner's lowest club, or it's a singleton. The 8 either has to be a singleton or it is your partner's lowest club. And based on the bidding, it's much more likely that it is your partner's lowest club. And so it is a mistake to carry on in that suit. Your partner is discouraging. And if I just bring up the 4 hands, you'll see that if you were to make the mistake of carrying on with the king, declarer would be able to ruff that, and that sets up the queen in dummy. So if you correctly interpret that 8 as discouraging, you will switch to another suit, maybe a trump perhaps, and declarer might get in and then draw trumps, but you haven't given him a trick with the queen of clubs here. So if he plays the spades, however he plays them, when you get back in with the queen of spades, you might on this occasion draw that last trump. Declarer can discard on the 8 of spades, but when he plays the diamond, as long as you play second hand low here, he will lose to the jack and to the king. And played that way, you'll hold declarer to 9 tricks. If we just go rewind it, I hope you can see that if you immediately assume the 8 is high and you carry on, then declarer gets another trick on with the queen of clubs, on which he'll be able to discard, in this case, perhaps a spade, and he would make at least 1 more trick. So although the 8 looks high, you need to work out whether it really is or not. Have a look at this one. This time again, you lead the ace of clubs against 4 heart contract, and the 7 is played from dummy. Your partner plays the 4 and declarer plays the 5. And I've got the same question for you this time. Can you work out whether that club, the 4 of clubs that your partner has played, is that high to encourage, is it low to discourage, or can't you tell? So the answers actually say, is it probably high, probably low, or can you really not tell? So have a little think about that. And I'll launch a poll in a moment. Can you work out whether that 4 of clubs is high or low? Have a look at the results. And majority have gone for low or can't tell, and 19% have said probably high. Well, this is a difficult one to work out. The 4 to start off with does look like a low card. On the other hand, when your partner plays the 4, what you should be thinking about is, are there any cards lower than the 4 that are still unaccounted for? And this time there is 1 card, and it is the 3. Yes, your partner could be encouraging if they started off with a doubleton 4 and 3. And the only time that would not be the case is if south is false carding. So false carding means not playing your lowest card. In other words, if south had the 2 and the 5 and played the 5, they are playing the 5 in order to try to confuse the opponents. But most of the time, most declarers do not false card, do not bother to false card, do not really think about false carding. As a declarer, you may decide to do to false card after this lesson, but it's probable, I think, that that 4 of clubs is high because someone's got the 3 and hasn't played it. So if you carry on in this suit, playing the king, and now your partner plays a 3, so you know they were false carding. Sorry, you know they were playing high-low, so you know they were encouraging. Now you can take the first 2 tricks and then play another club, and your partner was encouraging because they had a doubleton there, and they will ruff and take the first 3 tricks. Okay, again, after that, your partner will probably switch to a diamond, and declarer will get in, but at some point they're going to have to play the spades, and you'll make a trick. Each will make a trick with the king. So it was the right thing there. Let's just rewind it. It was the right thing there to carry on that suit when your partner plays a 4. So beginners often ask me what's a high card and what's a low card when you're signaling, and you really need to look at the missing cards and see if you can work it out. You won't always be able to, and also some declarers may be false carding sometimes to confuse you, but very often you should work out, and you may be able to work out whether it's high or low. Let's have a look at this one, and this time they're playing in a 2 diamond contract. Your partner's overcalled with 2 clubs, and they start off with the ace of clubs. So down comes dummy, and here you've got a doubleton in clubs, and you've got some trumps. So it's normal here for you to encourage with the 8. Okay, your partner carries on with the king. You follow suit, and he now knows you were encouraging. And now he plays the queen of clubs. Declarer follows with the queen from dummy, sorry, with the jack from dummy. And I've got the next poll for you, which is what are you going to play on this queen of clubs? And I'm going to give you a choice of either a high spade or a low spade, a high heart or a low heart, or are you going to ruff? Ruff with a diamond. Here comes the poll, and you decide what you think you should play. Have a look at the results. And the most popular response, 50%, was for the 8 of spades, with a small number going for all the other responses. 17% suggested ruffing with the 2 of diamonds. So let's see what we think about this. You could ruff, but on the other hand, your partner has led the queen, and they shouldn't normally be leading the queen if they wanted you to ruff. It's sort of hard to ruff your partner's winners, and it's not something you would normally do. If they had wanted you to ruff, they maybe should have played some lower club, but they didn't. They played the queen, and for whatever reason, they decided they don't particularly want you to ruff. So what you can do instead of ruffing is to signal, and you should signal discarding in a suit, low in that suit to discourage that suit, or high in the suit to encourage. And here, because you've got the ace of spades, I think the best signal is for you to play a high spade, the 8 of spades. And it's sort of emphatically saying, partner, I'm interested in spades. And if your partner gets the message, let's bring up the 4 hands at this point, they can switch to a spade. You can win the ace, play back a spade, and if they play a 3rd spade, you get to ruff that. And played that way, you can make the first 6 tricks. You will defeat 2 diamonds. You can't really make any more than that. So, yeah.
Question, Tony.
Yes.
So if you were playing suit preference signals,
Okay.
Could you not play the 8 of hearts, asking for the next higher suit?
Okay. Yeah. If you had that meaning, you could play a high heart. I mean, on this particular layout, it works out better to discard a spade because you then get a ruff.
Yeah.
So So on this particular out, that just happens to work out better. But yeah, the alternative, if you didn't want to play a spade, would be to throw a low heart, saying you weren't interested in hearts, and then your partner would presumably switch to a spade, but you wouldn't get the ruff in that case because you hadn't discarded.
That's a good plan. Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments on that? Okay, so yes, played that way, you can indeed defeat 2 diamonds. Finally, let's just have a look at this one. And here, South has opened with a weak 2-heart bid. You're West, and you overcalled 3 clubs, but North bid 4 hearts, and that ended the auction. And you start off with the ace of clubs, and you see quite a nice looking dummy from Declarer's point of view. A 3 is played from dummy. Your partner plays the 10, which seems to look like a high card there. So you play the king, and your partner follows with a 7, as Declarer follows with a 9. So that's 2 rounds of clubs gone. 8 clubs have gone. And the final poll of the evening is, what are you going to play at trick 3? Are you going to play the queen of clubs or a low club? Or are you going to switch to a spade, a heart, or a diamond? So have a think about the club situation. I'd like you to work out how many clubs are left and who's got them. And the final poll is, what card do you think you should play at trick 3? Okay, let's have a look at your results. And most of you have gone for the queen of clubs, followed by the 2 of clubs, and others have gone for a diamond, a heart, or a spade. And let's switch back and see if we can work out the right play here. Well, you know that everyone has followed to 2 rounds of clubs, so that's 8 clubs gone, and there's 1 left in dummy, and you've got 4. So there are no clubs in the east hand and the south hand. Now, it may seem pointless continuing with clubs, but what you actually want to happen on this hand is that you play another club, and you hope that your partner will be able to ruff that. And even if that gets over ruffed, it may promote a trick for you because you have quite good hearts. You have the Jack 10 3 of hearts. Now, normally that would not make a trick. They would fall under the ace king queen. But if you can get your partner to ruff, and they can ruff high enough to force out a high honor, then you may be able to get a trick in hearts later on. It may promote a trick for your hearts. So I'm going to continue with another club, and I'm not going to play the queen because I want my partner to ruff if they can. All right. I know that basically from the bidding that my partner probably has 1 heart. All right. Declarer started with 6. There are 3 in diamond, that's 9, 10, 11, 12. So they've got 1 heart, assuming that 2 heart bid does show a 6-card suit. So what I'm hoping is that they will ruff and ruff high enough that it may promote a trick for my side. So I'm not going to play the queen because they'd be reluctant to ruff that, as it seems to be a winner. Instead, I'm going to play a low club, and I'm hoping for some kind of layout like this, where your partner does have a trump, and because it's the 8 of trump, if your partner now, sorry, if Declarer now wants to win this, they would have to over ruff with the ace or king. And because you've got the Jack 10 3, that may well promote a trick for you. It's not guaranteed, but it's quite likely that Declarer will just play the heart suit by playing the two top hearts, and you may end up winning a trick. So you don't play the queen here, so because your partner wouldn't ruff that. Declarer would be able to ruff it, you know that, and then that will be it for you in hearts. Actually, on this hand, it's probably a good idea, if you look at this from South's point of view, instead of over ruffing with the ace or the king, they could actually discard a loser. And that, in fact, is probably the best play here. Don't over ruff with the ace or king, because then you may end up losing not just a heart, but still a diamond. Instead, discard a loser, which is a diamond here. Now, whatever they play, if they play a diamond, you can win that as declarer, and you'll be able to draw trumps. Takes 3 rounds to draw the opponent's trumps, but you'll make the rest of the tricks with just 2 spades and hearts. So this was an interesting one. You've got to think carefully about what card you play at trick 3, whether you want to encourage your partner to ruff it or not. And here, there's no point playing the queen, because your partner probably won't ruff that, and declarer will ruff low. You want to try to encourage your partner to ruff by playing a low club. Anyone have any comments or questions on that?